Welcome to the Phillips 66 Big 12 Championship. It's part of Dick's Sporting Goods Championship Week. Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas State, and Iowa State. The Wildcats, the number 5 seed, and of course the Cyclones, the number 4 seed in the deepest conference in the country. And what a quarterfinal day of hoops we've got for you. Oklahoma State and Kansas will meet in the second game. And what a battle they've waged over the last 2 seasons. Breaking even, memories, stars, and that is our second game. And here is the bracket, which shows you what's in store. The evening round, Oklahoma, the number 2 seed against Baylor. Baylor a winner last night, and Texas will take on West Virginia. The Mountaineers still dreaming of making the big dance. Good afternoon and welcome everybody with Fran Fraschilla. Holly Rowe will be joining us. I'm Brent Musburger. And Fran, I've got to tell you, I've never seen a quarterfinal round this evenly matched in any conference.
Well, it's indicative, Brent, of what we've seen all season long in the Big 12. If it's not the best conference in college basketball, it's certainly been the most competitive from top to bottom. And this 4-5 game today is with 2 teams who are really good, who can make some noise next week.
We've got some stars in this first game.
Well, absolutely. Melvin Ejim, voted by the coaches in this league as the player of the year. The senior from Toronto has been outstanding. Remember that 48-point performance against TCU. He's been rock solid. And then Fred Hoiberg, as he's done since he's come back to Ames, finding a terrific transfer in DeAndre Kane, who was voted all first team by the coaches as well. But we've got some young star power, Brent, on the other half of that bracket, because Marcus Foster has come out of nowhere this year to make his mark on this league. We're going to have fun watching him the next 3 years.
Fran, we like to say in horse racing, pace can determine the outcome of a race. And one-on-one, we've got 2 teams that want to play this at a different pace.
Without a question, Kansas State, a grinded-out, tough, hard-nosed defensive team. You see the numbers. Iowa State with a trio of great scorers, wants to get up and down, and they will shoot the 3-ball, but don't be misled. They'll go inside as well.
So here are the starting lineups for you. And for the Wildcats, coached by Bruce Weber, Will Spradling, the only senior out there. And of course, for the other side, Fred Hoiberg coaching the Cyclones and many of the stars who made the all-conference teams, led, of course, by Ejim and Kane, but don't look past George Niang. Now, if we go back to Kansas State for a moment, Marcus Foster is a freshman, and Holly Rowe, he's worn down a little bit if you listen to his quotes.
We hearing her?
Let me just interrupt. Holly, I apologize if at the last one we had a little technical difficulty, but the young man said basically that he's never been this worn down, never played this many games, and it was on his mind. So we'll see what happens as he is out there with Kane, having a little fun before the start of good officiating crew. Mike Stewart, Don Daly, and Bert Smith will work this game. So the quarterfinals in the Big 12 Conference underway. Spradling will bring it down for Kansas State with the first possession.
Spradling's a guy that needs to stay on the floor. He's their catalyst in terms of moving that ball.
There you can see back out trying to set the table, and Williams from that left wing missed the first shot, taken away, and on the move here comes Kane, linked to the floor and one. That's what he could do. He's devastating.
You know what, Brent? He's got a great combination of size, speed, and strength. This is a play that he has made all season long. He comes at you at about 6'5" with the strength and power. More importantly, Will Spradling picks up his first, Brent, and he has been in foul trouble recently, and that's really hamstrung that Kansas State offense.
Missed the free throw. Rebound is yanked down quickly here and onto the floor. DJ Johnson putting a little more size out there for Coach Weber. Williams on the drive and an offensive foul. Now Kansas State is a very physical team, and a lot of this will be determined probably by the officiating as to how effective they're going to be.
Well, it's a great point, Brent.
Now watch Gibson on this. See if there's a little twinge in that shoulder. Yes, he reached up there to the right shoulder. And so that's why he headed to the bench. Now Williams goes out over there. That's Nino, of course, Nino Williams, who's out.
Well, Shane Southwell is going to guard Niang inside. So they'll try to get the ball inside to him.
Niang sets outside on that pick and roll, and Edgem, a good three-point shooter, missed that time. But he was open, and a putback is good by Monte Morris of Flint, Michigan.
Good effort by Niang. He kept that ball alive, and Morris was in the right spot.
Foster, very quiet so far. He's number 2 for the Wildcats. You want to keep an eye on him. Kane will defend him. He's the scorer here for Kansas State. But it is the other freshman who contributes. Awandu out of Houston hits their first field goal.
Well, you know how we feel about him, Brent. We're going to watch him next year, and he'll be on the verge of stardom.
Niang. Kick back outside, knocked away from Edgem, but picked up by Kane, and Kane's going to come with the J. Southwell rebounds for the Wildcats.
In their last meeting, Southwell made 4 threes in the first half. They'll be knowing where he is.
Foster nails the 3-ball. That's big, big, big for the Wildcats.
Absolutely. The thing you love about Marcus Foster, he's learning how to be the guy with the target on his back. He's moving much better without the ball down the stretch.
Coach Weber up in front of the Wildcat bench. Niang jump hook, short. Southwell another defensive rebound. Foster to go again. Good quick first step, but he was covered with help defense. Now he comes up over the top of Kane. Won't stay in. Edgem with the defensive board.
Iowa State did a good job on not letting Southwell get those open threes.
Morris kicks to the corner. Deflected again.
Boy, Spradlin's being guarded. He's guarding Niang inside.
They double Niang, coming baseline. Wandu with the defensive board. Head pass now Southwell. He's got Kane to beat. And he does.
Brent, you remember when he hurt that ankle against Kansas? He wasn't the same, but Southwell starting to get it back.
Knocked away from Edgem, and Edgem is fouled by Awandu.
Well, Shane Southwell starting to get back into form. Talked about his big game in the last meeting, but his ability to get to the rim, that'll help.
Melvin Edgem, Player of the Year in the Big 12. Had some wonderful games. Canadian, play on the Canadian national team. Former friend, you're certainly well aware of it. Look at those tremendous numbers that he turned in this season.
He was originally signed by Doug McDermott. Fred Hoiberg had to continue the recruiting process, and they have made a great team the first 4 years of Hoiberg's regime here.
So just what we expected. Close, close, close. That's the kind of day we're going to have here in the Big 12 with these 4 quarterfinal matchups. Lawrence is also on the field, and now stepping back and knocking it down, and Southwell is off to a huge start.
And Fred Hoiberg put his head down because part of the scouting report is no open looks for Southwell.
He's got 5 points already. Kick into the corner. That's set 3, and it is good. Dustin Hogue from Yonkers, New York, into the scoring column for the Cyclones. Southwell loads the low block, and coming up to shoot free throws will be Gibson, who checked in after that little twinge that he felt at his right shoulder. Good to see him back on the court.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Phillips 66. Proud to be here. Dick's Sporting Goods. Every season starts at Dick's. And Infinity. Luxury cars that deliver inspired performance.
Kansas State leads Iowa State by a point here in the early going. And, of course, their leading scorer is the young man Foster, who nailed a three. And, Holly Rowe, I know you had a chance to talk to the freshman before the game.
Well, he said, you know, the biggest problem he's facing right now is he is sore everywhere. He said, my high school season ended 3 weeks ago, so he's playing a lot longer than he ever has. As a true freshman, he's been asked to do a lot, leading the team in scoring this season. Their athletic trainer, Brandon Yoder, told me he's learning how to take care of his body better, contrasting hot and cold ice baths. He's using these Normatec circulation boots on his legs, and he's eating better, resting better. But he said today, what he's got to get past is the mental fatigue. He's like, I can't worry about how my body feels. I have to go out and play. My team needs me.
Now, Gibson nails the 2 free throws. I think you said it's more mental, perhaps, than physical. Right?
Yeah, because don't forget, he's getting the attention of every defense in the league right now. He's no longer anonymous.
So a little trap after the made free throw that time. The Wildcats, of course, a very tough defensive team. They're a very physical bunch. They want to play a low-scoring game here against Kane, Edgem, Niang.
I thought, Brennan, that last meeting, Iowa State did not spread the defense out the way they need to. Nice move there.
Yeah, Niang coming to the baseline.
Yeah, Niang's been in a little bit of a slump lately. 14 of 50 coming into today.
Spradling's being hounded, and Gibson will bring it back up on the outside. Good move into the paint that time by Nigel Johnson, young freshman from Ashburn, Virginia.
Well, Bruce Weber's got 4 very, very solid freshmen, including Javon Thomas off the bench as well.
Steal. That's Nigel. And that saved it.
Oh.
And then a bad second pass and a turnover on the play. Should have had an easy 2 there, Frank.
Gosh, that's that wide receiver down the field wide open for the touchdown, and Gibson just misfired.
There's Coach Weber, of course, came to Kansas State from Illinois. He replaced Bill Self with the Fighting Illini. Took them all the way to a championship where they were beaten by North Carolina. He's done an outstanding job at Kansas State so far, and this is on Kansas State, and it's on Southwell. Spradley looked in that direction because he didn't want another one.
Exactly.
But it's on Southwell.
Hey, how about this, Brent? 8th straight year Kansas State has won 20, and of course it started with Bob Huggins, and then Frank Martin, and now Bruce Weber. Great history of coaches.
14-11 was Coach Huggins with a big game with the Mountaineers later today against Texas. Edgem puts him on the deck, comes hard, and outstanding defense by Lawrence. Kansas State continuing to take seconds off, continuing to move the ball offensively. Nigel felt it. What a contribution off the bench. Johnson nails a 3, now has 5, and they're up by 6, their biggest lead of the game.
That's a young man. He dropped 50 in a high school game his junior year.
Gibson jumping out, and a foul going to be called on that play.
Well, this is great hustle right here, and one of the guys you mentioned, Omari Lawrence, the 5th-year senior, the transfer from St. John's, the graduate student here at Kansas State, playing his best basketball of his career.
Stop. And it's going to go the other way. That's on Niang. Offensive foul down low. So Coach Hoiberg goes to the bench. And checking in for him is Matt Thomas. He's a freshman from Wisconsin.
I think the big thing today, Brent, watching Kansas State, is they foul and play more aggressively. They foul more on the road. They play more aggressively at home. They get away with it more. Staying out of foul trouble with this aggressive defense, critical.
Well, I'm impressed so far by the contribution of Weber's bench.
Yeah. Those young guys have come along all year.
Speaking of the bench, Southwell misses that time into Niang's hands. Up over the top, dangerous pass, turn it over, Spradling will bring it down. Southwell was cut off. And from that deep corner, misfiring that time was Lawrence. Kane loads Edgem down low. Left hand, running it down, however. Iowa State and Edgem puts the offensive back that finally Niang, 3 chances, Niang finishes. Southwell. Gibson will put it on the deck and attack. Left hand did not stay down. And it goes over to Iowa State.
Gibson with a point blank opportunity right there. Southwell thought he was fouled, but really good effort by Kansas State. They've been the more aggressive team early, Brent, both ends of the floor.
Johnson, Lawrence, and Gibson come out of the game for the Wildcats. Marcus Foster back on the floor, number 2. DJ Johnson, big fella from St. Louis, is down there. Stepping out, Edgem had an open look, however, and yankied it away. Owandu, he's back on the floor for Kansas State. That's Owandu, open jumper. They didn't close on him, and he missed the shot. And now Johnson commits the foul. So we'll come back. Kane is fouled on that play. Kansas State's lead is 4. 11:40 first half.
Chris Cotter in studio, updating you on the Big East. #1 seed Villanova in trouble against the Seton Hall club that finished up at 9 o'clock last night. Quick turnaround. Eugene Teague not affected by it. It's a 12-point lead for the Pirates right now. Over on ESPN, you got the ACC with Maryland, 3-point lead over Florida State. Illinois and Indiana in the Big Ten.
And a quick look at the Big Ten tournament unfolding in Indianapolis. Michigan awaits the winner of that 8-9 matchup, Indiana and Illinois. The Wolverines finish up the season, and the regular season champions there.
Yep, and we'll talk about Nebraska later, the great job Tim Miles has done. But right here, Brent, you know, Kansas State, a very good scouting report team. What does that mean? They try to take away your team's best strengths, and one of them obviously is Edgem. Watch the help on the inside on Edgem. This is by design, making it very, very tough for him to operate down low. A lot of purple bodies, good effort, physical play. Good job so far.
I'll talk a little bit about that Kansas State defense again, because they're holding Iowa State to 35% from the field. Now, they do have 6 fouls, is it, Fran? The Wildcats are very aggressive. Niang misses again, but an offensive rebound. It's 6-2 as far as the team fouls are concerned. Not unusual, we want to point out. The Wildcats are very aggressive defensively. Kane keeps the dribble, muscles in, fire back, comes back for a third, and yanked away. And down on the inside second and third time was Dustin Hogue, helping Kane out on the inside. Here's Foster negotiating, coming down. What a beautiful move he made.
There's no question, Brent. You know, early in the year, he was a jump shooter. Now he's moving without the ball, and he's definitely attacking more off the dribble. He's really become even a good playmaker for Bruce Weber.
This is an impressive start for the Wildcats.
Well, you mentioned the inability for Iowa State. There you go. To go inside,
Yeah, they've been doing a great job jumping, double teaming. There's a lot of good help defense by the Wildcats here, but Niang finished this time.
No question. In the first 2 meetings, the Cyclones have gotten to the line an average of 29 times. So you've got to take Kansas State's aggressiveness and use it against them.
Both teams, of course, are going to move on to the big dance. Joey Brackett's, better known to many as Joe Lenardi, says 7 are locks, and West Virginia is still alive. And those are the teams playing here today. Iowa State, of course, would like to be one of the top 16 seeds when that's announced late Sunday afternoon. So we'll see how that all unfolds. Iowa State closes to within 3. Williams, they're going to give him that shot. They were right. He missed it. Now the Cyclones coming down.
Kansas State retreats really well. They get all 5 purple jerseys back to the lane quickly.
Naz Long handling the ball. He's seen some minutes here in the first half. It's him on top right now. And again, the Wildcats are keeping him out from the middle, so they're going to fire up a 3-ball, and Naz Long makes them pay. Tied at 19.
Super confident player off the bench for Fred Hoiberg.
Bad pass. Stolen away by Morris.
Well, Morris anticipated that play really nicely. That's good scouting report, D.
Cyclones searching for the lead here. Long is tracking Foster, number 2. They come the other side. And they're going to confer. And it's going to stay in the possession of Kansas State. Iowa State's upset with the decision, the fans behind the bench.
Watch this scouting report defense right now. Locke, keep your eye on the freshman, Monte Morris. He's going to smell the flare screen out and run right to the spot. Richard Sherman couldn't have done that a whole lot better, Brent.
7-2 in the foul situation. And, Fran, you told me the Cyclones were able to get to the free throw line in the first 2 meetings during the regular season here against K-State.
A bunch, 29 times on average, Brent.
And 1. That's the 3rd foul as Lawrence converts. He'll come to the free throw line. 3rd team foul against the Cyclones.
Oh, this guy's a great story. We saw him with his brilliant game against Kansas when he went for 9 big points. But you know what? 5th-year senior. He's got his he's working on his masters already. More importantly, playing the best basketball he's played since he arrived in Manhattan. But they've got toughness, Brent, don't they, Kansas State?
Oh, absolutely. They made it all the way to the conference championship game in this tournament a year ago, where they were beaten by the Jayhawks. Kansas. Edgem comes baseline, and he's back on the free throw line. And Foster was down working on the inside. He committed the personal.
There's a quick, aggressive move by Edgem that time. They're doing a lot of switching, so he's getting mismatch opportunities inside.
What'd I do? That's what Foster just asked.
You know what the official was thinking? You're a freshman. A couple of years from now, that's not a foul. Maybe.
Yeah, I know.
But that's an example of Edgem just being more aggressive in the defense. He went right to the rim.
Spradlin, Southwell, Foster, Gibson, Lawrence. Kane sticking with Foster. Lawrence will attack off the dribble.
Oh, man.
And he did it again, just what you said.
Yeah, he's a tank in there.
It is very tough. Now finally they're able to dribble penetrate. And then Southwell comes over and makes a tremendous block on the Thomas field goal. I was just about to say it. Iowa State's had trouble with the dribble penetration, and Kansas State, pretty good performance so far, Frank.
Defense is what they hang their hat on. Hustle, toughness. We're seeing it early.
ESPN Bracketology is your selection Sunday guide to the big dance.
They've proven they belong.
That'll be a classic. Great defense against great offense.
ESPN Bracketology Special presented by Staples. Sunday at 7 on ESPN.
We welcome you back to Kansas City, the first of 4 quarterfinals in the Big 12, and what a day we've got for you. Kansas and Oklahoma State will be next. Now, Kansas State doing well, especially defensively so far against Iowa State, and there's an assistant coach over there. Fran, tell us the story of Chris Lowry in his 2nd season with Bruce.
Well, Chris has been with Bruce a long time, going back to the Southern Illinois days. He had terrific success for much of his Southern Illinois tenure. When they made a change, he was able to jump on board this staff, and he's the de facto defensive coordinator. But Brent, this all goes back to that Gene Cady toughness at Purdue that you witnessed for many years.
And he picked up his dribble on that, didn't he? Edgem gets his own miss back, muscles in, stuck with it, and that's what Edgem does very, very well. That's 5 points for the player of the year in the Big 12 Conference.
When you're his size, you know you have to be creative in the painted area.
Lawrence looking to drive. Passed up that open 3, not this time. Stepped a little bit further out to the right, missed, and into Kane's hands. Kane's been fairly quiet offensively, but he gets a good assist on that, and Monte Morris nails it.
You talk about all the terrific young guards in the league, and this guy's right there with Jordan Woodard, Isaiah Taylor, bunch of them. Foster.
Foster attacks with the dribble. 1 and done. And they turned it over. K-State basketball. Niang couldn't control it.
Take a look at these guys, Brent. You know, we say out of nowhere, of course, Monte Morris was the player of the year, Mr. Basketball in Michigan. But when we talk about the great freshmen this year, the Parkers and the Wigginses, the Randalls, these 4 kids have had great years in the Big 12.
And Spradling turned it over. And Holly, the young man was recruited out of Michigan, wasn't he?
Well, that's right. He's from the Flint area near Detroit, and he was recruited by Michigan State, and Michigan actually offered him a scholarship, but they also offered his AAU teammate Derek Walton a scholarship. They basically said whoever calls first to accept, that's who'll get the scholarship. Monte said, they told me that Derek called at 6:18 in the morning. I called at 6:24. At least that's what they told me. So Derek's at Michigan, and he's at Iowa State.
Niang. And now it's the Cyclones with a 5-point lead, and Niang with 10 points.
And they're starting to spread this Kansas State defense out because they have guys with weapons.
Spradling answers. Big, big 3. The Cyclones were mounting a little bit of a surge, and Spradling took it out of them a bit with that shot. Morris again. Edgem. But it will be Iowa State basketball. Edgem hustling down to try and field that rebound, and it was knocked out by the Wildcats.
And Monte Morris, Brent, lost 5 games in his high school career. You think about that over 4 years. He is a winner. Played for Mike Williams, Beecher.
Niang missing that time, and Spradling now with the defensive board. Here's Southwell looking for daylight, attacks, lost it, goes for the loose ball. Niang's got it.
Numbers.
Headman. The feed and the basket by Dustin Hogue. Foster, catch and shoot.
Boy, how smooth was that? That's efficient right there. Great curl, catch, quick release.
Edgem decides. He felt it. Took it from outside.
You're starting to see vintage Iowa State offense right now. I think every guy on the floor has a basket in this sequence. At least 4 do.
First of 4 tremendous quarterfinal matchups in the Big 12 Conference. They wanted Spradling to go to his left, and he obliged. Now Southwell, that's offense. He was stumbling a little bit out of control. That's his second.
Well, this has happened a number of times down the stretch of the season, and we saw at Oklahoma State a couple of Mondays ago, Brent, how much the offense struggles when Spradlin picks up 2. In this case, it's Southwell going to the bench.
Fred Hoiberg masterfully moving his team about like chess pieces, getting the right 5 out there. Kane steps out, deep 3 off iron, and it will be Kansas State basketball.
Well, in that last meeting in Manhattan, Kansas State was able to muck up that Cyclone offense and really make it difficult to drive it and score. Today, much more fluid ball movement by the Cyclones.
Long and Norris have made fine contributions, and Kane does not give Foster much daylight. Gets past him, to the right, blows in and 1. Terrific move by the freshman.
Tremendous. We've seen him drive right. We've seen him go left. We've seen him hit the 3. Catch and go in the middle of the lane. But you know what? Iowa State, Brent, you got to love the way they can really spread you out. Niang scoring from the perimeter. Don't forget Melvin Edgem, Player of the Year. This is an efficient group.
Chris Cotter in studio. Carol Lawson and Bruce Pearl going to join me for the Buffalo Wild Wings halftime report in a bit. Number 3 Villanova, the number 1 seed in the Big East, in trouble early against Seton Hall. We'll give you highlights of that one and a preview of Kansas, Oklahoma State, our 3 o'clock game here on ESPN2. What a great day of quarterfinal action in the Big 12. Back to Brent and Fran.
All right, Chris, thank you very much. And that is going to be a big one. And the crowd is huge here for our first game. And, Fran, if we take a look at Marcus Smart and Andrew Wiggins coming up.
Yeah, these guys have really played well down the stretch. Wiggins coming off the 41 at West Virginia in the loss on Saturday. And Marcus Smart, the mojo is back. Cowboys have won 5 out of 6, Brent, and playing like the preseason Player of the Year.
No, we expected that game back in December, but we just thought it would be the championship and not a quarterfinal matchup between those two. So you don't want to miss that one, folks, coming up. 33-31. Cyclones with the basketball and a 2-point lead here. Kane off the dribble. His best offensive move of the game, coming down the right baseline.
That's a perfect example of running a play out of a timeout to create the isolation for Kane. That's what Fred Hoiberg does really well.
He's sticking to Foster. Got it on the inside. Williams, Nino Williams finishes. Kansas State once led by 6. Iowa State's led by 5. So far, we've had 2 lead changes in this game.
This is exactly what the experts thought, Brent, right? This kind of game.
All 4 of these games, they think it's going to be close all the way, and now Kane is really heating up.
What a season this guy has had. 3 years at Marshall, nondescript, maligned a little bit, been a choir boy in Ames.
A lot of Iowa State fans here in attendance today. They've traveled very well. Foster and 1. Wow. Kane unhappy, but Foster did a job on him.
Oh, man, I love watching this guy play. He was ranked the 45th best shooting guard in the country by ESPN coming out of high school. And boy, has he been a surprise. They went guns a-blazing, too, after the basket.
Hoiberg not agreeing with the foul call on that. Kane thought that he got it maybe a piece of the ball with his hand. Didn't think he made contact with the arm, and it's a 2-point game again at 2:27 first half. Dishing Morris, follow Edgem. And the foul is going to go against Williams, it looks like. Big Spradlin was hiding behind him.
Yeah. You know, when you look at this Kansas State team, Brent, DJ Johnson, Nino Williams, Amari Lawrence. They got some tough physical jokers out there, don't they?
Exactly. DJ picking up that foul. So long. Let's see. Johnson will take a seat now, and Gibson hasn't played many minutes here, Fran. You know, he twinged that shoulder, but he missed a bunny down here. And so he's been watching a lot of the first half. And it's 40-36 coming up now. And let's see what Foster can do with Kane tracking him. He's coming to baseline. Spradlin has it knocked away, turns it over. Numbers, here we go. Iowa State finishes with Naz Long for the hoop, and Weber's not going to like this. Their biggest lead of the first half. On Sunday, the premiere of ESPN's 30 for 30, Requiem for the Big East, explores the rise and eventual decline of the Big East Conference. 30 for 30, Requiem for the Big East, presented by Infinity, Sunday at 9 on ESPN. And there is a connection to the Big 12, and that is Saturday night for the championship game. It will be 9 Eastern from the Big 12, and not the Big East on ESPN. So I want to mind you about that. We have been earlier on that closing Saturday of the conference tournament, but not this time. Kansas State turns it over again, and that's a mistake that could be very costly. Edgem underneath, scores easily.
And the freshman Morris continues to do what he's done all year, Brent. Drop dimes without turning the ball over.
An 8-point advantage. Wildcats, and they're just having a nightmare. That's 3 consecutive turnovers on the last 3 possessions.
Well, watch this, Brent. Iowa State, you know, solid defensively, but they don't hang their hat on it. But here they're doing it, and Monte Morris, what a season he's had. Here's another opportunity to steal. And how about this, Brent? Saturday after the game against Oklahoma State, Monte Morris probably didn't sleep. He had 2 turnovers in the game. He had only 20 all season long.
To follow up on your Morris comment, Fran, as Edge misses that 3-point attempt. He has 6 assists already. 6 assists.
6 assists.
Blowing down on the inside, and the shot rejected. Nigel Johnson couldn't finish.
What a season he's had. Now, they haven't kept this stat very long, the NCAA, but he's on par now to break the assist-turnover record ratio. Almost 6 assists to every 1 turnover. What a quarterback.
And he receives a nice round of applause as he heads over to the bench.
You know, he played at the same high school as Roy Marble, who we got a chance to see at Iowa in the 80s. And he reminds me of a guy that played with Marble, B.J. Armstrong.
Oh, sure. B.J.
You know?
Later played with the Chicago Bulls in the NBA. Spradlin needs to nail this 3, and he can't. But they get it right there on an offensive rebound for Gibson. John Thomas is going to try. Wildcats searching for firepower to get back in this. And no shot on it. Foul is going to go against the Cyclones. Edgem. Final minute here. Good closing few minutes for Iowa State and Coach Fred Hoiberg.
And I think the pace of this game is right exactly where he wants it. Kansas State,
44
right?
in the first half.
Yeah. K-State's kind of got caught in this running game.
They have dictated the pace, there's no question. Foster down the middle, has it stripped away. Morris knocking that about, doing a little bit of everything.
Yeah, Monte Morris came off the bench earlier in the year, but it got to a point where Fred Hoiberg was extremely comfortable with him. He had a game against West Virginia where he went 12 assists, no turnovers.
Kane has hounded Foster here in the first half. Southwell jump shot, no, got his own miss back and scores on the left side. Now Iowa State will call a timeout for this last shot at 13.9. So we'll take a quick break. There's Fred Hoiberg, of course, a 10-year veteran of the National Basketball Association. When he sees something, he knows how to diagram.
Well, he's got to use this timeout anyway, but what I'm excited about now is he's usually really good at timeouts, creating a play for somebody in a mismatch. So let's take a look and see what we got in 13.9 seconds.
Absolutely. He didn't hesitate. He went right to that board and drew it up, and then Kane loses the dribble on him, and that gives the Wildcats a chance. Down the floor from the corner, Foster. Oh, yes! Oh, huge! The turnover. And a buzzer. We praised the wrong side. We should have been praising the K-State defense.
And we're going to be praising Foster for a long time.
Look at this. Turnover to a 3. And a big ending for the Wildcats.
Watch the cool customer Marcus Foster is. He's just going to run to the line. Contested. Big shot, Brent. Huge for the Wildcats.
Let's go to Holly with Coach Hoiberg.
Well, Coach, you called the timeout with 13 seconds left. What was it you had hoped would happen there?
Well, we were trying to get the last shot of the half and get a good one up there. Unfortunately, we fumbled the ball, and they came down and hit a 3.
You've got 16 points that you've allowed to Marcus Foster. What can you change on him defensively?
Well, he's a heck of a player. We got to continue to chase him, make sure we get good stunts to the ball from the passer. It's tough to help up on these guys on the single side because they get it at the rim, but we've got to do a good job chasing him and making him take tough contested shots.
Thank you.
Disappointed in the ending to that first half, but off to a good start here. 4 great quarterfinal games coming up here today from Kansas City as we go to Chris Cotter, Bruce Pearl, and Kara Lawson, the Buffalo Wild Wings halftime report. Take it away, Chris.
Thank you, Brent. Marcus Foster, budding superstar there in Manhattan. Buffalo Wild Wings halftime report. As Brent mentioned, Kara Lawson, Bruce Pearl here with me. Over on ESPN, ACC tournament in Greensboro. Mark Turgeon and Maryland taking on Florida State. First half, Coach Seth Allen was on fire from distance in this one.
Terrific guard. Not who Florida State wants to see shooting the ball. Joe Lenardi's got him on Florida State on the next 4 out.
Yeah, and this is not good for them with Seth Allen hitting from distance, taking it all the way coast to coast. There you see 11 points so far. Step back here, 13 points in the first half for Allen alone, Kara, and he's been a one-man wrecking crew. This is trouble for Florida State.
Well, it is. I mean, you talk about Seth Allen. He brings so much to this team with his aggressiveness on the offensive end. Jake Layman's hit some threes, too. Maryland with 8 triples. That's why they're up 1.
The winner gets Virginia, the #1 seed, as you take a look at the ACC brackets in Greensboro, and all day long here on ESPN, you'll be able to see that ACC action. Well, we got Big 12 action here. We got a great game, and it started out as a great game for Kansas State, Kara, and then Iowa State made a move before you had that final 3 there. Really nice momentum builder for Kansas State into the halftime. But what happened with this Wildcat team early on?
I thought they were so aggressive on the defensive end of the floor, and they really attacked and took Iowa State out of what they wanted to do on the offensive end, which was get the ball inside to Melvin Edgem and allow him to operate. He struggled early. He was able to get some clean looks at threes, but I thought Kansas State's defense was active. They were helping the helper. They were doing a very good job of setting the tone on the defensive end. Look, that's 2 guys help outside of the paint right there. That was a difference, and that helped them limit Iowa State, Bruce, to 13 points in the first 9 minutes.
And, Kara, they were concerned with exactly who was guarding the ball, but the problem is second chance points. When you do switch, your guards are in, your bigs are out, and Iowa State took full advantage of it, and the Cyclones, they warmed up from 3. They had 6 different guys knock down 3-point shots. They played inside-out basketball. They were 5 for 9 in the last 3, and, of course, that's what the Cyclones do to win basketball games.
13 offensive rebounds for Iowa State there in the first half. Only 12 total rebounds for Kansas State, so clearly owning that offensive glass was Iowa State. Talk about what we've got coming up here. It's unbelievable when you talk about the quarterfinal action in the Big 12. It just goes to show you how deep of a conference this is. Later on, our next game on ESPN2, Oklahoma State and Kansas. And the Jayhawks, remember, they're going to be without Joel Embiid, but the Cowboys do have their superstar back. They're 5-1 since Marcus Smart returned from suspension. And if you look at the brackets here, just look at the day we have today, and Iowa State, Kansas State, followed by Kansas, Oklahoma State. Bruce, give me a real quick thought on this game coming up next.
Well, you know, look, this is about Kansas being Joel Embiid-less. and he protects the rim. So I'd look for Marcus Smart to be able to get into the paint, create stuff for his own. He's not worried about proving that he can shoot. He's just worried about competing and winning.
Yeah, #1 seeds are not immune to having a rough day here early on in the conference tournaments. Certainly Villanova finding that out. Seton Hall giving Nova all they can handle in the first half in the Big East. Highlights next.
Come back to the Buffalo Wild Wings halftime report.
Kara Lawson, Bruce Pearl, Chris Cotter. Let's go to the Big East. Seton Hall and #3 Villanova, Jay Wright. Dapper as always, but he would start sweating this one out. Patrick Auda hit the three, and Kara, this was just the beginning of an onslaught of threes from Seton Hall.
Well, it was. Patrick Auda had 13 points at the half. They're doing this without the services, really, of Fuquan Edwin. He was only 1 for 10 from the field, so good job for the offense to be able to go without their leading scorer.
Look at Seton Hall bombing away. They finished up at 9 o'clock last night, so a quick turnaround for them. Eugene Teague down low. Look at him battle down low here, BP.
Well, I'll tell you what, Villanova's not real big on the inside. Seton Hall took full advantage of it. Sometimes Crean rides to the top. I think Seton Hall's a talented team. That team finished 8th in the Big East. Their talent was better than that.
Giving Villanova a hard time right now, up 11. Kara, how do you see the Big East right now?
Well, you look at St. John's Providence. Such a pivotal game for both teams. Two of the best scorers in the conference. Bryce Cotton for Providence. So much depends on him on the offensive end. And then D'Angelo Harrison. Remember, St. John's a team that struggles to score, so D'Angelo Harrison's going to have a big afternoon.
Well, St. John's and Providence on Joe Lenardi's first 4 out right now, so something's got to give. Let's go to the Big Ten. Indiana and Illinois. Indiana, one of those teams just fighting to get on the bubble all year long, and may have finally burst. Larry Bird in attendance, watching his former team. Yes, he played for Indiana before leading the Sycamores to the national title game. Malcolm Hill knocks down a 3. Illinois, though, started this game on a 9-0 run. Bruce, before Will Sheehy started to bring Indiana back.
Well, Sheehy and Farrell were terrific. They need more help from others. Indiana turned the basketball over too much. Illinois' team did not go away. They lost 10 out of 11, but they came back and won 4 of the last 5. They have not given up, and that's just really impressive as a coach to watch them hang in there this season.
Williams down low for Indiana right now. A really good game, tied at 38. Midway through the second half. And, Coach, when you look at this Big Ten bracket, what stands out at you?
Iowa, a 6th seed. They were a team that people thought could potentially go to the Final Four. If they advance past Northwestern, they'll see Michigan State. Will the real Michigan State team stand up? And can Michigan State beat an Iowa Hawkeye team 3 times? I think that's a tough matchup for Tom Izzo's club.
Both the Iowa and Minnesota games on ESPN2 tonight.
This halftime report is presented by Buffalo Wild Wings, the official hangout for NCAA March Madness.
Kara Lawson, Bruce Pearl, Chris Cotter, Buffalo Wild Wings halftime report over the American on ESPN. Keith Frazier's going to drill this 3. What a job by Larry Brown this year at SMU, but trailing Houston right now. About 6 minutes left to go there in the first half. Kara, what do you make of the bracket?
Oh, the matchup that jumps out is tonight at 9 o'clock. I mean, look, it's a 4-5 game. UConn and Memphis, some of the best cards in the country. Shabazz Napier, newly crowned American Conference Player of the Year. That's the matchup to watch in this one.
All day long on the U over there in the American. Meanwhile, 2 newest members of the SEC, Texas A&M and Mizzou. Jordan Clarkson with the steal. Dunk on the other end here, Bruce. We've got a couple of teams on the bubble in the SEC as we take a look at the bracket. Missouri, one of them with the lead.
Missouri's got to win this one. They got to get to Florida and beat the #1 ranked team in the country to put themselves where they get back on the bubble. And then the Arkansas-South Carolina game. Win doesn't get them in, but then they get a chance to play Tennessee, and that one does. Arkansas, I think, has to win 2 to ensure their position in the tournament.
All right, coming up here, second half from Kansas City. George Niang with a 3-point bucket for Iowa State. Down 6 early to K-State. They lead, but just by 3 at the break. Second half on the way.
You're watching Championship Week, presented by Dick's Sporting Goods.
Welcome back to the Phillips 66 Big 12 Championship. It's part of Dick's Sporting Goods Championship Week. First of 4 quarterfinals in the Big 12 Conference Tournament here in Kansas City. And we have a very tight 3-point game. And coming up next, we want to remind you, big one between the Kansas Jayhawks and the Oklahoma State Cowboys. So, friend, as you pointed out, these 2 teams split their regular season matchups. And it's been the kind of game we've expected so far.
Oh, exactly. And counterpunching, really. You know, just when you think Kansas State might be taking control with their physical defense, Iowa State came back. And then a big flurry at the end by the Wildcats off of a brilliant freshman we've been watching all season long.
Yeah, Marcus Foster. Let's take a closer look at him, Fran.
Well, and what you love about him, Brent, is how he continues to mature. Watch him learn over the course of the season to move without the ball in that motion offense, knocking down that elbow jump shot. But he's also putting the ball on the floor more later in the year, using that athleticism to get to the rim. But again, one dribble pull-up, and then that big play at the end of the half. And how about this? Last 15 points for Kansas State. Foster responsible for 13 of them, 11 points and an assist.
Well, we take a look at the numbers, and of course, Fran talked about Foster. Kansas State hitting 55% to 42%. So Holly, I'm curious, why did Coach Weber think he's behind in this game?
Well, he said they're behind because they're turning the ball over. He said, we've actually scored very well. They're above their scoring average for this season. But he said, we've been giving up too many points off turnovers, 11 in that first half. He's also very frustrated with his defense, allowing Iowa State to shoot 55% from the floor. They've got to do a better job of locking it down and taking care of the ball. Pretty simple.
Not that time. Niang off a good baseline feed just laid it in.
Well, that came out. We talked about the after timeout play. Spread it, posted. Nobody there to help on the backside on Niang. Brent, I think if you're DeAndre Kane, you got to put your offense on hold a little bit early and make sure you keep Foster from getting going.
Kansas State would love to get this young man going. Awandu offensively on the attack. A little awkward of a shot. One and done, and here comes Kane. Over the top to Edgem. Not able to finish, and then gets his miss back, and it's a held ball. Southwell and Edgem. Kansas State basketball.
Spradling was guarding Edgem inside. They tried to throw it over the top, but Southwell with terrific help side defense.
Southwell opens up the second half here for Coach Weber. This did not get a lot of quality minutes out of several of their big guys in the first half, and they doubled Gibson down low. You could see that. He's number 42. He'll come out high to pick. Now he backs in on Edgem and finishes. That's what they need more of, is to get Gibson loaded in a low block.
Gibson made that move so quickly, a double wouldn't have been any help.
Niang, good outside shooter. Not this time. K-State basketball, they can tie it with a three.
Watch how quickly Thomas Gibson posts Edgem. They know they've got the mismatch on the switch, and he goes right at Edgem before Hogue can get to the help line.
Now Wonder jumps out. Over the top, Gibson again, and fouled. He'll shoot a pair of free throws. Niang got him.
I love that Bruce Weber's dialed up early in this half. Both Niang and Edgem, Brent, per 40 minutes, foul almost 5 times per 40 minutes. So getting those guys on the bench would really be a big help to the Wildcats.
Quiet numbers for Gibson so far in this game. One rebound that you saw. Now misses his free throws, and there'll be a foul on Awandu, I believe. That's his third, by the way. So he's pretty much taken himself out of this game so far, Fran.
He's had a quiet night, there's no question. He had that early basket, Brent. A little pressure now by Kansas State.
Open man. Edgem. That's a blocking foul. Score and one.
Monte Morris got rid of this ball so quickly it allowed Edgem to get the running start. Watch the way they break this press. Now watch Morris. He gets rid of it immediately, and Edgem is going to take off, create the 2-on-1, and Gibson trying to hold his ground, Edgem to the rim.
You know, this young man doesn't get enough credit for also being an academic All-American. He's got a 3.7 GPA in history. He's only the 5th Iowa State player to earn that honor. And guess what? He joins his coach, Fred Hoiberg, as the only first-team honorees from Iowa State. And there is Coach Hoiberg. 15 points for him. He's played very well all season long against Kansas State. They're back up by 6. They load Gibson again. And Awondu this time is fouled, and he'll come to the free throw line. Gibson's not able to score and finish. Weber is very unhappy about the lack of a call on that play down low to Gibson. You can see him.
I thought that was pretty calm of Bert Smith. Weber made his point. He felt Gibson got fouled. Fortunately, Awondu cleaned it up on the backside. Early
the
in the
strategy
second.
Offensively is to load Gibson down low.
Yeah. And I think Bruce Weber's got to calm down right now. See, he's made his point, and what you do the next possession is you go inside, put the onus on the whistle. But he's got to. I think he's made his point. He's got to get back to coaching his team.
Trails by 5. Dangerous pass. Gibson intercepted it. Now they come down. They got numbers. Southwell, and a blocking foul is called right away on Niang.
Brent, you know this. Any contact at the rim was going to be a foul call because Weber made his point to the officials. This is why you leave him alone. A good decision by Foster. Right there. There really wasn't much there, but because, and it's the 3rd foul, but because Weber made his point, I think they got the call on that play.
So we've got Niang with 3 and Awondu with 3 here so far. He ain't got away with that pass. Here's Kane now.
I'll tell you what, I'm looking at a little, is this a zone right here? Because Kansas State plays very little zone. It's matched up, I think.
Yeah, switch shots on top with Southwell now on Kane. Shot inside 5, and that could be charging. Yes, it is. Gibson took the foul. That's his 2nd personal. And so Naz Long back on the floor. So Niang with the 3 personals. He's going to take a break. Kane stays on the floor with the 2, but Long gave some good minutes for him.
Well, yes, he did. How about Thomas Gibson? That's the 14th charge he's absorbed this season. So they're still
loading.
Yeah, they are, Brent, aren't they?
Foster flashes, misses the J. Hogue tried to draw the foul on Gibson. Loose, scooped up. Kane to work doubled, and a foul is going to go against Kansas State. And that's on Spradling.
Well, there's 3 teams out there right now. There's Iowa State, Kansas State, and there's the 3 officials. And they're going to blow the whistle because this game has gotten a little bit physical. You're going to see a little bit more officiating, and so the players must adjust.
Edge attacks the double team, and he's on the free throw line. That foul's on Foster.
Well, I like this. Iowa State now. Watch Edgem. He's going to put the onus on the defense, and Foster's not going to get there before Edgem starts the upward motion. And I think that one Bruce Weber knows.
Southwell rebounds. The miss. Edgem now. 17 points on the game so far.
It's a good opportunity to get Foster going right here, Brent.
Kane's chasing him, coming off a screen. Southwell right down the middle. I think they were looking for Foster, Fran, and Southwell sees that opening.
Exactly. They rode it up to that curl screen, and that let Southwell get to the rim.
And Kane is fouled off the dribble. Foster looks a little shaken up as he goes over there to the bench. And of course, Edgem receiving the Player of the Year trophy here in the Big 12. And he's got it going offensively in this game. Foster goes to the bench with 3 fouls, 51-49, Fran.
Well, watch this, Brent. When you load your defense up to Marcus Foster, okay, everybody's got to help. But watch when Hogue turns his head. Southwell's got the drive to the rim, and that's how he got all the way. Very, very good recognition by the senior from Harlem, New York.
Kansas State shooting 54%, Iowa State 44%, but Iowa State with a 2-point lead and the basketball. Foster watching with 3 fouls, and now Kane is able to pick up a foul on the replacement also as he drove in on Nigel Johnson. You know, it's interesting watching the transfer from Marshall and what he's contributed to the league, and now steps up to the free throw line, and how a couple of fellows injected themselves into the debate about the Big 12 all-conference team. As you take a look at the squad right here, Fran.
And I have no argument with this team right here. You talk about the job Juwan Staten did. Kane has been really outstanding, and then Marcus Smart, Brent, last 6 games has proven to be what we thought all along, one of the best players in the country.
Now at the 15:30 mark, Foster to the bench. That's the leading scorer for the Wildcats. So who's going to pick up the slack here? They trail it by 3. And they turn it over. What Bruce Weber didn't want, and rolling in and misfiring on a layup was Naz Long, and Gibson makes him pay at the other end. We've got a 1-point game off the mistake by the Cyclones.
Everybody in the building thought it was going to be a layup. Thomas Gibson just stayed behind.
Nigel, and now Gibson helps on Kane. So that means in underneath is Hogue, and a pretty easy wraparound.
Well, the JUCO transfer from Indian Hills, he's quietly been nearly a double-double guy all season long.
Chasing the 3. One and done, and Spradling does not want to foul right there. Kane's having a little bit of trouble with the dribble. He scoops it up. Now Edgem, and it's going the other way, I believe. Oh, mercy. Now Edgem, is that a contact lens, or did he just take a blow up there? He got hit, I guess, as he was shooting, he took a blow. Take a look here.
Well, he
took
there.
a blow.
Yeah.
I mean, when that arm of Gibson comes down and unloads, yes, indeed.
He got fouled twice on that play. Once on the arm,
and then he commits the personal.
Yeah.
Edgem said, I want that trip back. I didn't get my money's worth at all. I got blasted and got the foul. Oh.
And he can do that to you, this guy, Thomas Gibson.
Look at that arm coming down across the face. And Edge is still shaken up, and we hope he's going to be okay, obviously. Trying to shake it off. So with the clock having a little bit of a problem, that's why we've got a stoppage, and that works in Edgem's favor here. Try and shake it off. That was the first miss, of course. And then Edgerman, trying to get the ball, committed the personal foul. So he was actually hit. As I watched the referee make the decision, he actually committed the foul before he got whacked.
You see he's putting the contact lens
I
back
thought it
in.
might have been a contact.
Yeah.
They're checking the clock, of course, over the other side. We'll get that straightened out. Now, watch what happens here. Knocked away. Kane followed, didn't stay down, and then he pushed. And that's the foul and problem with the contact. So that comes at 14:21 on the clock. The officials are over there taking a look to make the adjustment. Anything surprise you, Fran, about this game so far? Has it gone pretty much according to what you thought?
You know what, Brent? 3-point game, exactly what we thought. Maybe the scoring. You know, Kansas State has let Iowa State create tempo right here, but I think they've done a pretty good job overall.
(14-17), we are told. Mike Stewart coming over to give us the information. So there we are at 14-17. You know, Mike is working with Don Daly and Bert Smith.
They all have a precision timing pack on their belts that the whistle stops the clock. It's not always accurate. It just shows a 50-50 on that piece of machinery.
Johnson nails a three ball. What a big three to tie this at 54.
This young guy's got a lot of moxie. Young man from the D.C. area.
On the drive, Morris, no. Iowa State having some trouble finishing, but not that time. A finish and a foul for Dustin Hogue with Edgem watching.
When we talk about the big three, you know what? This guy doesn't get a lot of credit. He got the chance to start early in the year, Dustin Hogue, when Melvin Edgem was out the first 3 games. But look at his effort.
With DJ Johnson, the big fellow defending him in underneath. So they're counting on Hogue to pick it up a little bit with Edgem shaking up and watching from that bench over there. Lead is back to 3 without Edgem.
And Foster getting a rest as well with those 3 fouls.
Lawrence on the floor for the Wildcats. Southwell sealed up. No opening that time. So he'll gun the 3 off the pass from Johnson. Back-to-back 3 balls for the Wildcats.
Deja vu, Brent. Southwell hit 4 threes in their last meeting in the first half.
Edgem is up. He's going to be checking back in at the next top. Oh, wide open his knee in.
Now, this is exactly what we thought, Brent. These 2 teams going at it toe-to-toe.
The 5-4 matchup. And we're going to follow with another dandy. Kansas, Oklahoma State. Johnson off the J. Didn't stay down, but he was fouled on that play by Naz Long.
Well, this young man, Nigel Johnson, he originally committed to George Washington. When it didn't work out, I think Bruce Weber found himself a steal for the next 3 years. Played for a very good high school coach at Riverdale Baptist, Lou Wilson, a guy I got to know through the years. This kid's got something, Brent.
Undoubtedly, you're right. Well, you used a good word about him, Bradley. You said he's got moxie, this kid, that he does have. There's Edgem coming down.
Yeah, he's not afraid. You know, now he scored 50 in a high school game, so he's used to scoring. But on this stage, pretty good performance today.
Absolutely. Shooting for the tie. Got it. Deadlocked again at 59. Foster with 3 fouls, continuing to watch from the sidelines, and the Wildcats have been productive without him. So why use him in this situation? Hogue against Spradling. They load Hogue again. Bumping Spradling down. Kicks it back out. Spradling held his ground pretty well.
He sure did.
Now King splits the D. Still won't stay down. Loose. Lawrence comes away. He's got Gibson on the left side. And the foul is going to go against Iowa State. And that is on Long For a moment, I thought it might be Niang, but it was long.
I know this at half court. Omari Lawrence was not going to be denied. He looked like a car on the Cross Bronx Expressway at rush hour.
Can you hear the coaches over there? Give it up, big fella, give it up.
That's one of those no. Nice play, Omari.
So take a look now at this foul situation. This would have been 4 on Niang, but watch on me. I did it left. Get it right here. 1-5, and he got it. And I think he did commit it. 1-point game. Out of bounds, and it'll go to K-State. And Spradling saved it. He was going out of bounds, and I think he bounced it off Niang. Good move by Double Nickel. Timeout here. 11:47 left in regulation.
ESPN Bracketology is your selection Sunday guide to the big dance.
They've proven they belong.
That'll be a classic. Great defense against great offense.
ESPN Bracketology Special presented by Staples. Sunday at 7 on ESPN.
Chris Cotter in Bristol, down 8 at the half and much more in the first half. Villanova comes storming back against Seton Hall. Darren Hilliard here with the layup. Just tied the game right now, the Hall, with a 2-point lead, just 2.5 left to go. Meanwhile, over in the ACC, over on ESPN, Aaron Thomas with the steal and dunk for Florida State. They're squarely on the bubble. They've got to win at least a couple of games. 4-point lead right now in the second half. Brent?
All right, Chris, thank you. The Kansas Jayhawks arriving for their match coming up against Oklahoma State. That'll be the second of 4 great quarterfinal matchups in this game. And Holly Rowe, there's a little bit of a breaking story with the Jayhawks. Give us an update.
Well, Kansas played at Oklahoma State just a few weeks ago and lost on that home court. Nadir Tharp in that game got injured, and Coach Self just told me in our interview that Nadir had dislocated his thumb in that game. Nadir hasn't played as well in the last few games, but he is back to normal. I asked Nadir yesterday what he's got to do better, and he says, I've just got to focus. He hasn't blamed anything on that injury, but that is significant that he is trying to overcome that thumb that was dislocated.
Yeah, interestingly enough, there was a whistle before the drive here. It's offense. It's against Kane.
Kane used that left arm to push off.
That's number 3 on him.
Yep.
And of course, K-State has took the lead with Foster on the bench with 3 fouls. So now we've got foul trouble on the other side, and Foster checks back in with 3 fouls. 11:28. Here comes Marcus Foster from Wichita Falls, Texas, back into this game with K-State up a point.
And remember, Brent, he had 16 in the first half, hasn't scored yet in the second half.
It's interesting that Weber sent him out because he knew that Hoiberg was going to take Kane out of the game. Now remember, Kane has been chasing him, and now they've got Hogue trying to chase him. They load Gibson, and Gibson turns it over. Gibson's having a little bit of a tough game here.
Yeah, they came quickly that time on the double team, and Gibson wasn't aware. This is a guy that when he was a freshman, nobody double teamed. 30 pounds overweight. He's become a really good team leader, both on and off the court.
Spradling might have a little blood down there in the bottom part of the left leg. That might be why he's being tended to over there. The officials are checking, so we've got a brief stoppage.
How about Spradling, Brent? He's going to, right now, he's 4th all time in the history of this storied program in minutes played.
Matt Thomas is back on the floor for Iowa State. Edgin is out there. Morris, Niang, and Hogue. That's a Cyclone 5 right now. Niang, good pass on the inside. And a foul on that entry pass to Dustin Hill. That was a good pass by Niang.
That's what Niang does. He's the only big player in the top 10 in assists in this conference. And they ran their offense through him that time.
That is the 4th foul on Foster.
That's huge.
At the 11-minute mark. Or wasn't out there more than half a minute, right?
Yep, exactly.
Number 4. So they're going to have to take him back out. They'll save him for the end of the game.
And what happened on that play is he got caught helping inside, but didn't realize that Hogue had cut right in front of him.
Officially on the floor, George Hill tells us for 24 seconds before he picked up.
A cameo. That's the cameo.
There it is. That's a killer, perhaps. Let's see. Remember, they took the lead with Foster watching. And there's your lineup right now on the floor. Gibson with Niang getting help from Hogue. K-State's forced to work it on the outside. Niang. He is on Gibson. Not letting him get it entered, and so Spradling will now dump it to the big fellow. The double team, a little bit out of control, misfiring on the shot. They're determined not to let Gibson have easy layups down low.
That's a great point. They came quickly with Edgem on that double.
Edgem kicks it, turns it over. Spradling's got a head man. Here comes Nigel Johnson inside and one. If Thomas was going to get him, he should have got him early. He let him get on the inside of him before he fouls, so it was a little bit of an easier shot.
Well, this started with a terrific. Watch Spradling anticipate the passing lane. That started it, Brent. That scouting report, D, right there. And then this freshman, Nigel Johnson, we've watched him continue to grow all season long. And you know what? If you're Bruce Weber, you can keep Marcus Foster on the bench a little bit longer because of the way this guy's played.
6 points for him now.
Well, that Spradling made that play, didn't he?
He sure did. That's why it's so important for him not to be in foul trouble, what he does mentally. Kane's back on the floor. Thomas trying to get it back. Edgem with an offensive rebound. Loose ball on the floor. And this could be a held ball situation.
That's a foul.
He's pointing to a foul.
Yep, that's a
I think that's
call.
Kane.
That is a good call. You can tie a player up on the floor, but you cannot jump on him.
That's Kane.
Yep.
That's his fourth foul.
Mike Stewart made that call, and that is, in my mind, that is a good call. He put the man on the floor at a disadvantage by just piling on. Take a look, Brent. Now, this is a scrum right here. Now, watch. See, that's okay. And then here comes Kane into the mix. That'd be 15 yards on Saturdays.
Yeah, right. You know, you're right. The ball was still loose down there. I thought maybe it had already been a held ball, but replay showed it, and Frank, you're exactly right on that. So there's the Iowa State situation as far as fouls are concerned, and Kane is going to take a seat.
Yeah, that's an example of over hustle right there. And Kane's still trying to figure it out, but by rule, that is a foul.
And there's 2 shots coming up here, too, for Gibson. Nothing's coming easy for number 42 today. A 3-point lead inside of 10 minutes. Kane and Foster both saddled with 4 fouls, watching from the bench. And contact down below, and I believe that's going to be on Gibson. Hoagland down.
Kansas State, they do a lot of switching inside. That time Gibson just ran the screener over. This young guy, Brent, had no Division I offers coming out of Yonkers, New York. Went to junior college and starting to make his mark.
Big day at the front end.
Yep.
There's Kansas State's foul situation right now. One-point game. Southwell. One and done. Niang cleans it up. Edgem 3. Boom, chocolate.
Monte Morris, little drive, draw to defense, kick, simple basketball by the freshman.
Johnson is fouled. Is that Niang? Yes, it is. And that's 4.
Niang's waving over at the coach saying, no, leave me in, but
coach is looking right beyond that.
Exactly. Right now we have a war of attrition in terms of the foul situation. Both coaches want to get to about the 5-minute mark, I would think, before the Stars return.
Well, it's advantage Wildcats right now with 2 players on that sideline for the Cyclones, and one now. Southwell's going to take a seat, and Foster, of course, with the 4 fouls. Nigel Johnson, by the way, is going for a career high right here, and did 15 points. So you've been pointing out how that young man's got a future, and he's been a big contributor here. Hogue down low, backing Gibson in. James with the jump shot.
Yeah, that was pretty. Gibson tried to hold his ground, and Hogue just pulled up and shot a jump shot.
Wildcats turn. Nigel Johnson rattled out. Gibson with a big offensive rebound and a putback.
You see Edgem, it was almost like Gibson had the plague. He wasn't going to get near him and foul him.
Edgem rattled out. Gibson another rebound.
Nice.
Attacking and not finishing, but a foul is going to be called, and Williams is coming to the free throw line. Well, a couple of words describe this contest. It's been emotional and it's been physical. Just what we expected in the Big 12. What a quarterfinal round. We're back, and a surprise start for the Wildcats.
Absolutely. Nigel Johnson, who hadn't scored in the final 2 regular season games, Brent, but we've seen flashes from this young man during the course of the Big 12, and he's already got a career high, playing with real cool, calm, collected play for Bruce Weber.
And we take a look at our leading scores, of course. Foster, saddled with the fouls, has contributed 16, but he's watching with 4, and so Johnson's picked it up, and Southwell's had a 15. We've been tied 7 times, and the lead has changed hands 6 of those times, and now off of the tie with the free throw, Kansas State regains the lead again by a point. We should point out that Kane, with 4 personals, is back on the floor for Coach Hoiberg, taking the ball out of bounds.
A token pressure right here by
got a big size advantage on Nigel Johnson. Let's see if that's what Hoiberg wants to try to exploit. Pretty much camped in the corner. He hasn't moved. Now comes baseline. He does get himself posted underneath. Hogue fade. Beautiful shot. He's had a couple of great shots.
Big shot. You know, you talk about the big 3 like we have all year, but Dustin Hogue is a guy that's made really, really big plays.
That's 18 for Hogue for this game.
This is unbelievable, Brent. This is just what we thought would happen.
Absolutely. It's the start of 4 wonderful quarterfinal games in this conference. And I believe a timeout was called by Bruce Weber. He went up to the official. 5 on that shot. Wando was dribbling deep, and he went for a timeout.
Chris Cotter in Bristol. Big East quarterfinals. Seton Hall down 1 to top seed Villanova. Designing a play with 3.7 left. Sterling Gibbs. Look at that step back right there. If it goes, it's a win, and it is for the Pirates. They upset Villanova at Madison Square Garden. 64-63. Brent, we are knee-deep in the madness already.
What a few weeks we've got. And Villanova, that #1 seed, as Chris showed you, losing to Seton Hall, that's in jeopardy. You've got to wonder now if the Wolverines or Kansas, and of course that Joe Lunardi ranks Michigan on that curve that you use. Michigan would be the one to replace Villanova if there's a switch. I'm sure Joey Brackets is in his room with the computers on right now.
We should know in the next 10 minutes, Brent. I would say that. And Villanova, a great season. Only the
Brackets will say, tell
Fran,
I got Michigan in
I'm
there.
going with Brackets. Good win for Kevin Willard. In fact, his father, Ralph, is scouting here today.
Now, Foster opens up, and the young man having a career day takes it in, and the Wildcats are up again.
How about that, Brent? He played minimal minutes on Saturday against Baylor at home.
Now Kane and 1.
Great pass by Monte Morris. He's been doing that all day long.
And that's a foul on Nino Williams.
Great spin move by Kane. Spradling never knew what hit him. How about those 2 freshmen?
Well, Iowa State at a disadvantage defensively. That was good work by the K-State coaches, because Kane's not going to step in and help out of that situation.
Absolutely.
And Holly, is that what they talked about over there in that huddle?
What just happened on the floor is exactly what Bruce Weber just drew up in the huddle. The last words he said to Nigel before they broke the huddle: just remember that alley will be open. The right side's overloaded. The alley will be open. And boy, he remembered what his coach said.
Absolutely. Now Southwell. Nigel being hounded by Long. Splits him again. Is he quick? Southwell's open. 3, no, short of the iron. And then he reaches in on a foul. That can happen out of frustration. We see it in so many basketball games. You make a miss, you go after your missed shot, contact somebody, and that's his 3rd foul.
And he's trying to prolong what has been a really solid career for Kansas State. He went to Rice High School. Brent, you remember Dean Memminger, the great Marquette player? Yep. Felipe Lopez. Yeah.
Linda Nix.
Yeah. Kemba Walker went to Rice High School. They closed it down. So there are no more Rice alums in Southwell at the end of the line.
What a day Hoga's had. He's above his average today, as you can see. Contributed 18 points and 10 rebounds. So he's picked up the slack for the Cyclones, and he puts them up by 2. Coming down to 5.5 minutes now. Great ball game here in Kansas City. Big 12 opening quarterfinal matchup. Kansas, Oklahoma State next. Wandu's been quiet. Still quiet. Hesitated, and the defense ate him alive. Edgem off the deck on the drive. And now it's a 4-point Iowa State cushion. 22 for the player of the year.
And by design, they opened up the top of the key for him.
Southwell. Barrow, loose ball. Edgem wraps it up. It may be time for Weber to put Foster back on the floor. He may have to run his scoring leader back in. As a matter of fact, I see him sitting over there across the way. So Bruce had already decided.
Well, just what we thought, the 5-minute mark. Now it becomes a 5-minute ball game.
But they trail it by 4 as Kane came back in to help run things for Hoiberg.
They've got a switch and a mismatch if they want it.
Morris comes up firing, and he missed everything. Head man. Here comes Southwell. Up high. Kisses it off the glass.
And Kane with the cursory wave because he's got those 4 fouls. Smart play by Southwell.
He drives. Did he foul? Yes. A huge moment of this game. Kane has fouled out.
Kane's got to know better, Brent.
Yeah.
Even if it's close, you got to pull up.
This one you could see coming.
Yes.
You saw the defenders set. They knew that Kane was coming down. Take a look at this now. That is Gibson, who moved over with his big body and took another charge.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Phillips 66, proud to be here, and Dick's Sporting Goods. Every season starts at Dick's.
DeAndre Kane fouling out for the first time this year. He goes over to Smith for more of an explanation, saying he thought that Gibson was inside that circle, but clearly he was not. Take a look at this, friend.
Well, and most importantly, Brent, you know, it's very close. I think he's established. He's outside the circle. But if you're DeAndre Kane with 4 fouls, you cannot risk that play. You must pull up and shoot the baby jump shot off the glass.
He leads with 11 points, averaging 17 in the season. Foster back on the floor, going for the tie. Yes. Deadlocked at 76.
And first basket of the second half for Marcus Foster.
For any of their starting guards. Spradlin hasn't scored here in the second half either. As a matter of fact, Niang with the 4 fouls. He's back now, Fran. And they post him right away. Jump hook. Yes, puts Iowa State back in the lead.
And that's another one of those what we call ATO plays. After timeout, right to Niang.
Foster playing with 4 fouls. Southwell loads. Gibson down low, and Gibson's fouled. Is that Niang?
No, I think it's Naz Long, Brent.
Yeah,
he came from the weak side. Bert Smith had a great angle from the middle position. Gibson tried to get it up quickly before the double came, but Long came a hair late.
Gibson only 3 of 6 from the free throw line. Tied again. Final 3 minutes of regulation. Niang drives the length of the floor, and the official said it was hit by Kansas State.
As an example of what Kansas State does defensively, they swarm the ball.
Niang looks like his left hand might be injured out. They're concerned about an ISO on this. You could hear Coach Weber barking out defensive instructions. They get Naz Long, hits the 3-ball on him. It's 81-78.
Not the first big 3 he's hit this season, that's for sure.
Southwell tries to answer. It's a 2.
Look at Gibson guarding out at midcourt. Niang's going to try to take him off the dribble, but they switch.
Southwell's got him down low now. Gibson stays out with Edgin.
And they're trying to play that 2-man game, Brent.
There they are, loading Niang. Back to Edgin in the lane. Oh, muscles up. Just strength. Pulled it away for the defender and scored to put the Cyclones up by 3.
Not sure he saw the rim that time.
Foster's been quiet since he came back on the floor. Strick turned it over. Morris puts it down. Numbers for the Cyclones. And long finishes. A big advantage now at the 145 mark. 85-80.
What a hustle play by Dustin Hogue.
Pressures on the Wildcats. They load Gibson against Niang. Backs him down. Stays with it. Good.
How about Niang? He just had to hold his ground. He knew he couldn't foul. And how about Bruce Weber? Didn't call a timeout. They went right at Niang.
Knocked away for a moment from Niang. Spins. Comes down the lane. And one. Two brilliant moves by Niang off the bench here, friend.
He's got that mobility, Brent. He's so hard to guard. He's a unique player at 6'7". We've seen him score inside, but watch him operate with the dribble and then the ambidextrous ability to use his left hand.
You know, for his size, he's one of the best ball handlers we've seen this year.
No question. Great IQ, good passer. And perfect for the Fred Hoiberg system, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Iowa State up by 5. We're coming down to 1 minute. Deep three, no. Yes! Oh, my! I thought it was off to the side.
Willie Mosconi would have liked that.
Did he call the bank on that, Fred?
Oh, man.
Oh, mercy. I thought this was off to the right. Watch his Foster deep three.
Used a little chalk on that cue stick.
Hit more in the middle than I thought.
That's called a shooter's touch right there.
It is.
How about that?
Kept them right in it with that shot bouncing in. Huh?
Okay, so I think we're going to go to overtime. What do you think? It's the
Gee,
way
that
we
would
do
be
things.
unusual in this conference. Overtime? Do they have overtimes in the... Time for the All-State Tournament Challenge. Let's take a look at the Oklahoma State resume. They're coming up next. They've entered the arena. They'll play the regular season conference champion Kansas Jayhawks. That's our game with Markel Brown, Brian Nash, Marcus Smart. Done a terrific job after Smart returned from his 3-game suspension.
Well, that team is 5-1 now since Marcus Smart returned, and Foster now, Brent, with 4 fouls. He's going to sit on this defensive possession.
Inside of a minute, Cyclones with the ball and a 2-point advantage.
You want to use clock. And I'm wondering if Fred Hoiberg would go 2 for 1 here with the lead. I doubt it. He'll shrink the clock.
Edge attacks. Here comes Kansas State looking for the tie. Southwell loses it. Wrapped up by Hogue. Niang up the floor. They're going to have to foul somebody. And they do. They're going to put Naz Long on the free throw line. 16 seconds remaining.
You got a dilemma there if you're Bruce Weber. You got a transition opportunity. Do you call timeout and get Foster back on the floor, or do you let him play? It just so happened that the ball slipped out of Southwell's hands. I like this strategy, Brent. It wasn't executed like it could have been, but I like the idea of being on the attack.
And it's a 3-point advantage. 16 seconds. Here comes the shot that can make it a 2-score game if he could make it a 4-point lead here.
If it's 4, Brent, you attack quickly, go right to the rim and get the sure 2, unless it leads to the open 3 off the drive.
Now the Wildcats have to really hurry. They have to score quickly and then foul.
Yeah, got to go fast.
Catch and shoot Foster again, and not this time, knocked away. Niang wraps it up. Iowa State survives and moves on. A gutty performance, putting 91 points on a tough Kansas State defense. Winning it by 6. Iowa State awaits the winner of the Kansas-Oklahoma State game.